everyone, and welcome back to Talk Time Tuesdays with the Whole Parenting. My name is Louise. I am a mom, and I am also a family and child development consultant. And today we continue our series on surviving the holidays during a pandemic in 2020. And today I'm really excited because we have with us one of my favorite people, fashion designer, seamstress, pattern cutter, and sewing tutor from Saran Prints and the Sewing with Saran Prints. And she's here with us today to help us go through the whole survival of the holidays in 2020. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and tell us how you're going to help us today with surviving through the holidays?
Thank you for having me, Louise. I'm really excited about our collaboration. I've had so much fun doing it. What I wanted to share with you today is how to do Christmas affordably and how to do Christmas on a budget without spending much money, and how we can bring our children together. It's like a real family time and something that you can all remember.
Thank you so much. And I'm excited for everybody to see what you have in store for us today.
So we're going to show you how to do Christmas on the budget. Today I'm going to show you how to make Christmas stockings using old pajamas, old shirt, even an old pillowcase. So yeah, but what I'm going to use is old fabric swatches that I've got lying around. So let's go and grab our stuff and get started. To give you an idea of what we'll be making, I made a small sample for you to have a look at. And we're going to make this on a much bigger scale. So what we're going to need is paper, a big sheet of paper, scissors, pencil and a ruler. And I'm using this ruler that has a curve, so it will help us to shape the boot. So I've drawn a rough outline of the boot to just get a rough idea of the shape. And then what we're going to do is take the ruler and neaten it all up so we can cut around it with straight lines. And I'll use the curve to do all of it. So now we'll have a boot. So what I will do, let's shape the inside of that, give it a little bit of a curve. And then it will all match up nicely. I think I've drawn this a bit bigger than I expected, so I'm going to take it down just slightly and reshape it. So once we've drawn around and reshaped the boot, we're going to add a centimetre seam allowance around the whole boot, and that will help to keep the measurement of the boot and keep everything the same. So I'm going to use this to do a centimetre seam allowance all the way around. And all we have to do is follow the guided line that we've drawn. Right, there we have it. We have the shape of our boot. So now what we'll do is we'll get our scissors and we'll cut around into the shape. And there we have it, the shape of our boot. It's quite large. It's perfect. So what we're going to do is show you how to get the fold on the Christmas boot. So to do the fold, I'm going to mark on my boot 9 centimeters down, and I think that gives it enough. I might actually just do it 10 centimeters actually. So I might do it 10 centimeters down. Yeah. And measure that on both sides. And then with your ruler, just draw a straight line across. And then we're going to get a separate piece of paper to trace that off. So if you lay that on top, and we're going to trace it off to get that rectangle shape of the boot, of the turnover. And remember to add the seam allowance on the top and the sides, the centimetre seam allowance on the top and the side. We are not going to add the seam allowance on the bottom because this is then going to be cut on the fold. So it's going to be a double fabric cut on the fold that will give you two openings. So let's go ahead and cut that. Forgotten to draw my line, so let's add that in before I go away and cut it. So now let's go ahead, or let's make sure we're not cutting underneath. So we go, and this will be the boot turnover. There we go. And we have our 2 pieces. Now we can go ahead and grab our fabric and cut these pieces out on our fabric and then get ready to sew. Fantastic. So now we've got the bits of rough fabric and some pins and my fabric scissors. So pins, so position the boot on the fabric, and then we're going to pin it to the fabric to secure it so that when we cut it, it doesn't move around. Make sure we lie it as flat as possible so we get no bubbles underneath. So once that's done, we've secured it to the fabric, and let's just move these pins out of the way. So now we're going to get our fabric scissors and cut all the way around the boot. There we have it. We have our boot cut out, and I fold it. I should have mentioned I folded the fabric so that I would get 2, a front and back boot. So let me take out these pins and show you. So I put the fabric, I folded it together, and now I have a front and back. Oh, this looks amazing. And then we are, so that's the boots. Cut out front and back. So then we're going to place it back together and then cut out the top cuff. And I'm going to use a contrasting gold to just make it stand out, just like the sample. So like I mentioned before when we were talking about this edge, this is going to be on the fold. So you want to take your fabric and fold it into, and then that will give you a nice seamed edge. So we're going to secure that down, and like this one, we were able to cut the front and back for the boot. We're going to have to cut two of these, one for the front and one for the back. So I'll demonstrate that. Oh, misplaced my, they're hiding under here. So let's get ready to cut. I'm going to put another pin in there. It's a bit, it's not staying flat. There we go. This is like a magnet. So that's one cuff of the boot. That'll be the front, and we're going to do the same thing for the back. I think I've got enough here to fit. Yeah, perfect. I like to try and use all my old fabrics up again so it's less waste on the environment. So let's go around and cut that again. There we are. So from our pattern, we have a front and back cuff for the boot. Let me just undo this one. And now we're ready to sew. Now, if you don't have a sewing machine, you can always sew this by hand. And what you could do to mark out your seam allowance, you can chalk the centimetre seam allowance all the way along on the inside with some dressmaking chalk, and mark that out a centimetre all the way around and hand stitch it and then turn it inside out. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the sewing machine, as it will be slightly quicker, and I'll get ready to do that now. So let's pop on over to the sewing machine. So now we're here at the sewing machine, and I'm going to sew my the boot together and giving it on the 1 cm seam allowance. So here goes, and I'll be doing that all the way around the leak boot, but leaving the top open. Just take it slow when you're going around the curved edges, because it can be a bit tricky to keep it on the seam allowance. If you find it hard, just stop and then lift the foot and then turn the fabric. So there we have it, the boot all sewn up. So what I did was I sewed a 0.5 centimetre on the cuff down the side seam on both sides, and that's our cuff sewn together. And now once you open it up, that line that we created for being on the fold, that would give us the fold of our boot. This is our final product, and I'm really happy with how it's turned out. We didn't spend any money, we just used fabric that was, I used old fabric that was lying around. You can use our old pillowcase, t-shirt, shirt, whatever you've got lying around to make it. You could even use like felt or arts and crafts that you have maybe with your children, which will be perfect. You can also personalize the calf. It's going to be a great hanging ornament around the house. Or it could be, you know, used as a stocking filler, or even a gift. You can give it to someone as a gift, and you know, just think you've made this yourself, so you should be well happy and pleased. Thank you for spending your time with us today, and I hope you have a fabulous Christmas.
Thank you so much, Makeda, for coming on and helping us with this series and showing us how to survive the holidays in 2020 during this crazy pandemic. I'm going to do my stocking this week, maybe today, maybe tomorrow. Yeah, I'm going to do it by hand though. I'm going to be sewing by hand, needle and thread, because I feel really lazy about going in the loft and taking my sewing machine out right now. So once I'm done, I'm going to post it on Instagram, on Facebook. I'm posting it everywhere because I'm going to be so chuffed that I managed to get this done. If you guys out there managed to do the stocking as well, please do post the picture on Instagram or on Facebook and on social media, Twitter, wherever it is, and please do tag Saran Prince. I'm going to put her hand below here. I think it will be somewhere below here on the screen. And also please tag the whole parenting as well, so we can see what you've done, because we are really excited about this and hoping that we have helped someone to do Christmas on a budget this year. Every little help.
I can't wait to see. I'm excited to see your work and your different designs and see what different fabrics you've used.
Thank you again, Makeda, and thank you everyone for watching out there. Have a lovely week and see you next Tuesday.